biggest of the big coming up this weekend. And it's a new venue. I mean, it's kind of weird that this race has shifted over. Now going to be in Cleveland over at 105 Speedway. It is the Lone Star 600. Last year, I was actually able to be a part of that. This year, just a lot of conflicts that are going on. So not able to be a part of that. But the man, one of the guys right there that puts this whole thing together, and it's a year-long thing that happens. It is our man, Brad Dixon, joining us on a Monday. Brad, how you doing, brother?
Doing great. How about you guys?
Doing well, Brad. So for the 600 this year, I think we had an idea that Devil's Bowl was, whatever was going to happen right there. Mm-hmm. When did preparation start? During the race last year?
Well, I got hammered pretty good about what are we doing for next year? What are we doing for next year? And having a facility that could hold all the cars at one time, like we have done it the previous 10 years, unfortunately is getting fewer and far between. The big tracks just seem to they're on the chopping block more than they are, being built. But we had to come up with something new for the 11th annual Kenco Bucket Trucks Lone Star 600. And it was difficult because after you've done something for 10 years, there's the old saying, don't fix what isn't broken, but we had to do something and do something completely different. So everything has changed. The format, the track, and people say, why 105 Speedway? What made you pick 105 Speedway? The Lone Star 600 is a unique event. Laney up at Devil's Bowl, we had a great working relationship, Martin and everybody. But what really made it interesting is there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that goes on, like with the Lone Star 600. You were there, of course, so you can see it's not the typical show, but there's tractors running around in the background. There's all kinds of different things going on. And when I had to pick another venue, Joey Smith and Jason McNorton, I've known those guys for a long time. They kind of know how I am. I'm a little bit wiry at times. I get that. But, if I say, hey, Jesse, I got to hop on your tractor, go after it, get it done. So I needed a place that we could go to that those guys understand exactly kind of how I work. And they're willing to do whatever at the, kind of fly by the seat of their pants on this thing, because there is no script for the Lone Star 600. Things happen that you wouldn't expect, One year at Devil's Bowl, we had a car go off the track, and then he drives around. Well, he's going through the parking lot, the spectator parking lot, dodging in and out of car. It's just, there's always something crazy going on with the Lone Star 600. That's kind of what makes it special. But we're at 105 Speedway, and the format's completely different. So, what people have expected in the past, well, we're giving them 600 laps each day now. It's completely different. So,
yeah.
So Brad, talk about the format. Break us in, because I know it's new. It was unique when you told us that it was changing last time you were on. Now we're a week away. So talk about the format, because I had a lot of people asking me about it, and I was like, hold on. I said we're about 99% sure Brad's going to come on the show. So listen in on Monday, because he's usually on talking all things 600 and all things racing, which I'm sure we'll get into that in a little bit.
So just like kind of like the Mod Wars this past weekend, people enter and then wind up don't showing up, trying to sell their entries, and you try to base these shows based on your pre-entries, and it gets a little bit difficult because you're trying to calculate purse structure and everything. But what we've done is, we'll just say 150 cars. We have a little over 100, and we expect about 150 cars. So we'll have 3 qualifiers on Friday. Each qualifier will have 50 cars in it, and it'll be 200 laps. Damn. The top 33% out of that qualifier will go to the gold. The middle 33% will go to the bronze, and the silver, and the remaining will go to the bronze. So the top, say, roughly 16, 17 cars out of each qualifier go to the gold. The middle group of each qualifier goes to silver, and the bottom of each group goes to the bronze. And what we're doing is, with the bronze, on Saturday, it will be 200 laps. It pays $2,500 to win, pays down 15 spots. So in theory, when you show up, if you're the 48th fastest car, you would theoretically be in the money for the bronze, so we're paying out a whole lot more positions. And it was unfortunate. One of the gripes is with the 600 is, on Friday and Saturday, we paid, the top 25. When you have 150 cars, that means 125 of them didn't get anything. So we tried to make it this time where if you have a little bit of bad luck, you can be in the bronze. If you're a mid-pack car and some guys go out there just to have fun, don't take it too serious. Some guys take it real serious. So with this new format, you kind of on Saturday, you get in where you fit in. Yeah. But the gold, theoretically, if everything goes like we hope, we'll have 16 of the fastest cars from each qualifier. So that gold and it pays $15,000 to win out of your averaging finish from your gold qualifying plus your finishing order on Saturday, and the gold pays an additional $5,000 bonus. So you're theoretically in the gold, you're running for $20,000. But the neat part about it is you run a car. The way I tell people, and this is what frustrates me, and I'll get on the factory stock bandwagon here in a minute, but these guys crack me up. But what's funny is if you run a 50 car qualifier and run 200 laps, I hope that everybody believes in themselves that they think they're at least a top 16 car.
Yep.
If you go to a race and you running 50 cars and 200 laps and you don't think you're a 16th place car to get in the gold, then hey, the silver's where you can be, and the silver pays. Here's the crazy thing. The silver race pays $5,000 to win. So it's no slouch. So by the numbers, if you're the 80th place car, when after qualifying, you should be in the silver running for $5,000 to win. That's kind of unheard of on big shows. If you're the 80th place car on a big show, you're usually a D main, 5th place, loaded on the trailer and watching the rest of the alphabet soup.
That's it. You're drinking beer up in the stands is what happens right there. So I got to say, I love this format. For me, this takes it to a different level, in my opinion. And I do think, yes. I wish we were on, Devil's Bowl. I miss the big track, but I think that you tighten this thing down. And for this kind of money in those races, I think it's going to be tremendous. Brad, one of the things, because I do want to ask you this, last year I was fascinated the way that the behind the scenes stuff, the way that all of this happens. There's not transponders, there's not any of this stuff. Everything is all of that still the way this is going to work, where it's people like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the complaints we get is when people say we should run transponders, this, that, and the other. Well, you were behind the scenes. I hate to say it, on average, out of 150 scorecards, it's usually anywhere from 4 to 8 get disqualified every time for a scorecard infraction. It's a lot. It's real easy to catch it with the cameras, the whole bit. So yeah, but it takes a monstrous crew to put this thing on with the behind the scenes, the scorecards, everybody. And somebody said, well, transponders would be easier. And you're right. Transponders would be easier. But you know what else is also easier? Me sitting at home faking disability so I can get on welfare and not working. That's easier. But that's not the way we do it. We do it, the transponders, if one of them screws up, we got an issue. And if you were out there running your laps and your transponder goes dead because I furnished it, or there was a hood laying across the wire where you crossed it and it didn't pick up 2 laps, now what? We'd have to go back and manually score it anyway. So we're just going to manually score it from the start and not have to worry about it.
Yep.
So, but yeah, as far as the one of the things that's cracking me up, I say get on the factory stock soapbox.
Do it to it.
I have been watching these factory stocks and I've seen a huge problem with them. The price is going through the roof. I admire the factory stocks. I started in bombers in the 80s. The only thing different from those bombers in the 80s to now is they run aluminum bodies and racing shocks. To be honest with you, we probably had better fuel than actually stouter motors in the 80s.
Yep.
But what I don't understand is these factory stock guys not wanting to tear up their car, and they are just demolishing each other at these big shows as of late. I saw one wreck. No, I'm not going to mention. There was some wrecks here lately that if that happened at the Lone Star 600, I'm going to walk up to the guy that hit the person after the accident had already commenced for about 8 seconds and ask them, don't come back. So when I say that this Lone Star 600, there has been several guys I've asked, hey, over the years, it hadn't been in a while, but hey, if that's your style of driving, we don't really need you here. Mm-hmm. And there was a group from Tennessee that got sour with me, but it was necessary. But what I'm getting at is these factory stock guys, and there are some open entries. There's people you can actually probably just hang out and run in the bronze and run for $2,500 and run your factory stock and not even get a scratch on it versus totaling it out, knocking the carburetor off of it. It's definitely interesting. So I encourage some guys that, hey, it's not too late. There are some entries. If y'all want to get with me on Facebook, message the page. We have some folks that have some entries. Unfortunately, after doing this for 11 years, I've developed a lot of relationships with the guys. And one of the sad things is, and, I know Marianne's got the Oktoberfest with the cancer. Cancer is really plaguing our sport, and guys that started with me when they were 60 years old are now 71. Guys that were in good health at 55 are now 66. So, one of the sad things after doing it for 11 years is, there's a enduro racer, Jared Carroll, was always a huge supporter of the Lone Star 600. Old Jared was rough around the edges, but had a kind heart. Yeah. And cancer got him. So, it's sad. One of the sad things to see is how many racers in the 600, because it's older guys. My son is 15. He finished eighth last year at 14 at Devil's Bowl. But, I wish we had more younger youth getting into some of this stuff. But, I do want to say to all the guys that are listening, sometimes I try to message a lot of them and talk to them. Make sure your health is in good shape. I'll do this plug for my old guys. I know I'm anti-doctor sometimes, but get the prostate checked out and make sure your health is in good shape, because, this racing is a tight-knit community, but we're also seeing more and more of our racers, come ill, and that's tough. I got a buddy of mine, Alan Williams. He's always run the 600. He's fallen ill. So, that's the sad part, but we're looking forward to a great show. Like I say, it's 105. It's going to be interesting. This new format, it might change the way some big shows are done in the future, because, if once they realize that, when a car spins out, enduro cars always start back up. I don't know what the hell it is with these limited and factory stocks.
Thank you. Pavement cars. They don't start till the yellow comes out.
Electrical problems.
They have electrical problems, but yet they, even though the rule says 12-volt battery, they got a 12-volt battery on a 16-volt battery. A 12-volt sticker on a 16-volt battery. I get it. Some of these, what cracks me up is when the car doesn't start and then everybody goes by. Some of these guys' cars spin over so fast, if the motor was locked up, the car would flip over. So, I don't quite get it, but in the enduro, people will see that, these cars fire up and nobody's banking off one another. So I look forward to potentially change the way some big shows are actually done once this model is shown. Yeah. Instead of running 8 million qualifiers and B mains, run everybody. And we did something at 105 that's kind of unheard. So to put it in perspective, typically at 105, we run 20 sprint cars. Mm-hmm. We started 27 sprint cars in a feature at 105. The fans want to see that. I hate to say it, 9-car features and 4-car heat races aren't entertaining. So, hopefully in some of these bigger shows, we can figure out how to make it more entertaining for the fans by having qualifiers that have 20 and 25 to 30 cars in the qualifier instead of 8.
Yeah.
So hopefully my format will start to revolutionize some things. And I'm grateful that Joey Smith at 105 kind of took the chance on me when I pitched it to him. He looked at me and I said, "Hey, Joey, I need to use your track and I need to do something different with it." And he said, "Well, let's go for it." So, and he's been pretty awesome as, he runs the big block modifieds, he's been pretty good at trying a little bit of everything over there, throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. So,
yeah, it's great.
So, Brad, I know you're here to talk about the 600. I want to go back to this, getting the youth involved. What's the missing link here? Trent's unique because he's been around racing and he's racing at, 12, 13, 14 years old. Is it just because kids are always on a phone and they don't go outside, or they can pick up a ride to town with an Uber app or whatever? Is it a disconnect from cars? Tell me what we need to do to turn this around, get some youngins up here.
You want me to tell you the truth?
Absolutely. Bring it.
These new millennial dads are bitches and they suck. They can't change their own oil. They can't do jack crap. They have to depend on everybody to do everything for them. And it costs them an arm and a leg. The problem is not so much the kids. It's the fact that the dads are bitches.
Yeah, they set the precedent right there.
Here's why. I know it sounds goofy, and I'm fortunate, I'm fortunate because I pour a lot. My wife, she does a phenomenal job pouring all of her time into our daughter in volleyball. But, it sounds a little silly, but I'll give you a quick 4-week rundown of my son the last 4 weeks. We ran sprint cars. Then we took the enduro car out and did some test sessions. And then we ran sprint cars again. And then I took him to the fair and he raced go-karts all day. That's the last 4 weekends. And I know all dads can't do that. And I get it. But when if the dads would start bringing the kids out to the track, and if the dads don't know, if they find a crew out and just start giving a hand and helping out and letting the kid hang around, it's okay that the dad doesn't know which way to turn the lug wrench. He needs to learn too before he can just say, you know what, I'm going to get my kid into racing. I'm going to buy me a mini sprint. And then the kid flips, the kid quits. The mom's all up in an uproar because the dad doesn't even know what to do. When I see some of these new few kids wreck, and then the dad can't even get it on the trailer.
Yeah.
That's a problem. So
that's a big problem.
We ask what's wrong. And it sucks because you can't go to the poor schools. I was a school teacher. I don't know if you guys knew that. I taught 11th grade. Yeah, I was a school teacher for years.
Mr. Dixon.
I got in trouble because I took kids on what they called unapproved field trips. I taught at a poor, predominantly super poor school. Let's just put it that way. And I would pull the trailer in and the kids would hop in the back of the truck and I'd take 6 kids to the racetrack. Well, I got in trouble for that. You can't do it. You got to have an approved field trip, but you can't get an approved field trip on a parent that you can't even get a permission slip signed from because they're cracked out or whatever. So the kids that want to do it can't, and the kids that can, the dads don't know how.
And Brad, that's a great. I'm sorry, Brad. That's a great point because with a lot of tracks that I've worked with, it's the whole mission of getting the kids involved, and it's like the kid can't drive there. The kid, I hope, is not going to walk there. It is. You've got to, and the whole entertainment value and all that. It's really great, but it's ultimately on the parents to get them there, and that really is the thing. They're not interested. They're sold out. They're doing other things, or they just don't give a fuck is the other part. And I think that's the sad part, in my opinion.
And the parents, if you don't know a whole lot about racing, and that's okay, and you look up, all you see is parking lot takeovers and cars skidding around and smacking into, overweight bystanders and their wigs flying off. That's, it sucks because, what what the parents see, and even if you have a kid that's a little bit interested, the parent doesn't know anything about it. The parents, it's kind of a unique thing, but the hard part about racing is we have a huge disconnect. You know, we say, oh, single fathers, single fathers, single fathers. And even now more so, even though the dad is still in the home, I think we're starting to run into a problem, because now, even though the dad is in the home, we have what I would call single kids. They're in the room on the video game.
Mm-hmm.
So just now, even the kids that have a dad at home, the dad is disconnected. You know, the dad doesn't do jack as much as he used to. He doesn't cut his own grass. The cars, back when I was little, you would go out and there would be cars on those old Walmart red ramps, and people would be changing their oils. Yep. When have you seen a pair of red ramps and somebody driving their car on a pair of red ramps? Mm-hmm. You don't see it. Mm-hmm. So I think the biggest problem is not so much the kids. I think the bigger problem is we have a problem with the dads.